One is that a lot of people struggle with the same thing. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to trip up. It defines you what you do next. Do I keep track of every single thing I eat every single day? No. I'm like, no. You can accomplish anything in this life, especially when it comes to health. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen in a week? No. Is it going to happen in 20 years? To be honest, probably not for me. This is the Gastric Life Podcast. I'm your host, James Pugh. Pew, 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 pew. I almost didn't hit those notes there. I was so close. I thought I was going to distress there and just fiddle out like a little balloon there at the end. Or at the beginning, actually, I should say. Anyways, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are doing good today. I am excited for today's podcast. There's several reasons why. But before we get too deep into those things, I want to tell you a story. Story time with Pew. That's what we're going to call it. I don't know if this is going to be a thing. I don't know if it's something that you wanted to be a thing of, but I want to talk to you about something that happened to me one day a while back, actually. But I think it'll be good for today's podcast of how I'm going to end it and stuff. And I wanted to start it with a story. So, me and the wife love, listen, hey, lean into this, love hot and fresh Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, can I get an amen in the chat or in the comments below if you love hot and fresh? Can I get a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're at if you love hot and fresh donuts? I mean, if you don't, then there's something wrong with you. You're probably listening to the wrong podcast. And no, I'm joking. You're listening to the right podcast, I promise. But the point is, hot and fresh are amazing. Now, of course, since surgery and stuff, I have to be careful on how I eat them, right? Now, I'm going to have certain people say, oh, you shouldn't be eating them at all. You should mind your own business. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm going to do me, you do you. No, listen, moderation is, I've spoken about it here before, but moderation is, you're going to have these things if you know what you're doing. That, for me, anyways, this is how I work. This is how I process and stuff, which I'll counteract myself here in a second when I finish the story, actually. But anyways, me and the wife went and got some amazing Italian food, homemade, down the road from a Krispy Kreme. On the way back, I saw the hot and fresh sign on, and it don't matter where you are at in your journey. For me, anyways, when the hot and fresh is on, I turn in. Like, that's just kind of like, the greatest like salesman tactic out there, right? You know what I mean? Like, if car salesmen could figure how to turn a hot and fresh sign on, they probably sell more. I'm just saying, like, if you're a car salesman, I would maybe study the strategy of Krispy Kreme, because whatever they're doing, it's working. I promise you it's working. Listen to this. So we turn in and the line is literally wrapped around the building. I mean, it is 10 cars deep, right? I mean, from the window past the intercom all the way around. I'm impatient. I'm a man. I was like, let me go inside. Because our goal is, right, and this is kind of where I want you to lean in and listen to why I have certain things and how I do it. And this is it, is we had a game plan going in there. We only get half a dozen. Now, is that a lot of donuts? Sure. I don't eat them all right there. And plus my wife is with me, right? And she's going to have some, and I'm going to have one, and then maybe one or two later. But that's the goal, right? Like, is to set up have a game plan before you go into these places. So when you go into these places, you got something to go off of, right? So you don't fall into something that's going to cause you to overindulge, as I like to call it. But yeah, so I get out of the car, I walk up to the door, and mind you, it's like 7:00 at night. Like, it's not even that late. And the door is locked. I look in there and they're just all sitting there like, only drive through, bro. Mind you, like, I get like, I don't understand this. Like, I do understand it because they don't have enough work, because people don't want to work nowadays, and, all that good stuff, whatever. But holy moly, we got to do something about this. Because, I mean, this isn't just Krispy Kremes this happens to. This is all kind of places. Not to say I go through a lot of fast food restaurants because I don't, but I just remember, like, I hear it all the time. Oh, the lobby's not open. I'm like, what do you mean the lobby's not open? It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, they said they didn't have enough help. Anyways, moving on. Side note. So we get back in the car, and I love my wife. I'm gonna be 100% real with you guys right now. If it wasn't for my wife, I would have went home because I don't care to wait that long. So I get in line and I wait. And Krispy Kreme, again, is on an entirely different level when it comes to strategizing on how to make profits and how to upsell you into how to get you just psychologically wanting more. So me and my wife are sitting there in drive-through, and we're at the big paint windows. What is a window? Window? You know what I mean? Windows. And I'm looking at these donuts being made. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing them the dough go into the batter, and I see them flip over. I see them come on the assembly line. I see the fountain of Krispy Kreme glaze they have. I see the donuts go underneath, and they look amazing. My wife this entire time is trying to have conversations with me, but she doesn't understand the fat life. You know what I mean? Like the actual fat life when something is just got your attention when it comes to food, and you don't care about anything else around you. You don't care about what your spouse is saying. Yeah, that's what was going on with me. So trying to balance her and balance the fat life at the time, even though this is only a couple months ago, guys. Like this is well after surgery, which is difficult to say the least. But I had a game plan. We were only going to order half a dozen, 6 hot and fresh. That's all. Move it on. You know what I mean? Like we had a game plan. So after sitting there for about 14 hours, it felt like, we finally get up to the intercom, and having a game plan is important, but not having a backup game plan or having, it's funny we talking about this because I talked about this last episode. Certain times in life, you're going to be sucker punched out of right field. You know what I mean? If it's, if you're a Christian, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not a Christian, with just life in general, you know what I'm talking about. Like the haymaker is going to come flying in. And if you're not ready to catch it, it's going to land and it's going to make you stumble. Let me explain. The lady on the other side of the intercom, I don't know her name. She was pretty nice. She sounded like she knew what she was doing. She sounded like she she just got off the car salesman lot and she was ready to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you go into a car salesman lot, they always, like me, like I see it coming from a mile away. You get out your car. All of a sudden you got like 3 guys trying to get to you at once, right? Like, it's mine this time, you know what I mean? And then they always got these tactics they do, on like making you wait or explaining why you want to pay the upgrade for this model versus this model and why it's going to cost effectiveness and all that. And it never works on me because I understand how it works and I'm just like, no, get out of my face. But this lady, I didn't see it coming, so it stumbled me up. We get to the intercom. Welcome to Krispy Kreme. How can I make this the best day of your life? I thought she worked at Disney World for a second. You know what I mean? Like you get on the phone with Disney World people and they're just like super chipper, super happy. I'm just like, first of all, there's 15 cars in drive-through. Why are you this happy? You know what I mean? And like, second of all, we need more people like you in the world. I'm sick and tired of getting people that just hate their job. Like, look, I didn't tell you to pick your job. I didn't tell you to go and, work there. You did this on your own. Don't be mad at me. Have a little bit of a more chipper smile on your face and say, hey, how can I make this like this lady did? Anyways, I simply was just like, yeah, I'd like to get half a dozen hot and fresh. She was like, yeah, just half a dozen? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She goes, "You do know it's actually cheaper to do the dozen, right? Like you're actually going I mean, for like literally $2 more, you get 6 more donuts. Like cost effectiveness wise, you would be better just to do the half a dozen because if you don't, or the full dozen, excuse me, because if you don't, I have to charge you individually for each donut, and it almost comes out to as much as a full dozen." I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Let me get a dozen hot and fresh donuts." I totally so my wife was just like, "What?" She even was like, "What? I thought we were only gonna get half a dozen." I was like, "Look, well, they'll get eaten. We'll give some away. We'll we'll figure it out." So about 8 donuts later, guys, like I'm not even lying. Like 8 donuts later, in about 24 hours, maybe 40. I can't remember. It's been a few months. The point was, I overindulged in those donuts. I ate a donut here, ate a donut there, grabbed a glass of milk, dumped the donut there. Pro tip, if you never knew that, that's taking fatness to the next level, even though we're not supposed to, I'm not supposed to be fat anymore, still have fat tendencies. And, you know, after eating those donuts, I felt bad. I actually felt like, not bad like sick, because they were delicious and I spreaded them out. You can do that if you had surgery, and that's a horrible idea because of what we're going to talk about today. But I felt bad in the sense of like I failed. I was a failure. Here I am, you know, 8 months after surgery, whatever it was, and I allowed something like this to slip me up, and I didn't have the willpower or the knowledge. Kudos to Krispy Kreme for putting millions of dollars into their to their employees nowadays, evidently, but that's besides the point. I allowed it to trip me up, and I allowed myself to feel bad about it, but not long. Let me explain why. If you allow that to beat you up too much, if you allow that to get into your head too deep, what happens is there's a seed planted, and it's a negative seed, and that seed will start to blossom into something. And what happens is you start to just not care anymore. Not that you don't care, but internally you don't care because you've already failed. It's just like people that have eating disorders, or not eating disorders. I'm talking about eating disorders right a second. Well, I'm talking about more like drug disorders, people that have relapsed, have, been clean for years and start to relapse. Because what happens is they decide that, well, I've already failed. It don't matter. I'm a horrible human being. And, I might as well just keep going. And then they go down this spiral thing. And eventually they end up back where they started. Well, I wasn't going to let that be me. You know what I mean? Like, I've done that minty. No, my breath don't smell like mint right now. It smells like coffee, drinking coffee. It's like literally 3 o'clock in the morning as I'm recording this. Yeah, I record late. But I wasn't going to allow this to beat me. I wasn't going to allow this to beat me down. What I did was I learned from it. This is what you have to do in life, guys. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to trip up. It defines you what you do next. I simply stepped back and said, okay, what happened? What can I do differently next time not to, fall back into that trap? There's two things, right? I mean, there's a couple things, and this is how my brain compartmentalizes these types of things and plans for the next time. You have to plan. Guys, listen, you have to plan for these types of things, because if you don't, you're going to stumble, you're going to trip up every single time. You have to be able to be honest with yourself and go, I got to have a game plan, because if not, I'm not going to be able to do it. So what I did was, there's a couple things. You could not just go back. That would be the simplest thing, right? But I want hot and fresh donuts. So I'm just going to be real. Like I preach about it. If I have it in moderations, it's okay. I can have a donut here and there. it's okay as long as and this is me, maybe this isn't you, maybe you can't have them because it's like freaking, alcohol or actual drugs. For me, food can be that way, but I don't keep it around the house like that, so I don't keep going back to it. I can have it once and be done with it, or slip up and have a few because I bought too many and be done with it. Like, I haven't had a Krispy Kreme donut since then, no lie. And it's been months now. Two is I could allow my wife to order, right? We go through drive-through, she orders. I don't order. That way, when that happens again, I don't have that pressure because my wife can be like, no, I just want half a dozen. Three is, now that I know the tactic, I know their car salesman tactic, I'll be ready next time. Hey, I need a half a dozen. It's going to cost me, I don't care if it costs $10 more. I want a half a dozen. Eating healthy costs more anyways. Like, we all know this. Like, that's just how it works. So, but anyways, the reason why I want to tell you that story, the reason why I wanted you to hear me is just because I'm doing this podcast, just because I've lost over 200 pounds, just because I'm, working out, I seem like I have it all together. I don't some days. Some days I struggle. Some days I fail because we are human. And I'm going to go through all this again, more likely throughout this podcast today. And, what an introduction to the podcast. But I want you to understand that just because you fail doesn't mean you need to give up, doesn't mean you need to let it define you. I want to read you a Facebook post. By the way, I am on Facebook. If you didn't know that, find me on Facebook. It's linked in the description below. I post things to help you with your journey, to help me with my journey. I actually posted two things we're going to talk about here in a second. First one is I wanted to read a little post I made about mistakes. I put this: mistakes happen, but it's how we handle them that truly defines us. When we stumble, we have an opportunity to rise and learn from our experiences. It's in these moments of growth that we find our strength. Sorry, guys. So let's embrace the journey and choose to give our best, even when faced with challenges. Together, we could turn setbacks into stepping stones towards success. That's pretty good. The AI program that helped me write that, like, wait, what? Yeah, trust me, guys. Trust me. If I would have wrote all that myself, there'd have been like 15,000 grammar mistakes. So what I do is I use this AI program. I put what I'm thinking in there. Like, hey, I want to talk about, stumbling and not letting it turn us, define us. And, I want to make sure people understand to get back up and keep fighting. Like, I put all these different things. Like, well, it's all my thoughts. The AI just helps the grammar part of it. So it's pretty cool. ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure majority of you guys have heard about that. But yeah, so I just wanted to start with that because I thought that would be something cool to tell you about and to let you know that, hey, I am just as human as all of you guys. So with that being said, I want to talk to you about another Facebook post, and so we can get actually into the meat of the podcast now, which is this. I posted a post. I'm in part of a couple different bariatric groups on Facebook, and maybe you've seen me in any of them. That's cool. And you know that, I'm about posting in there and answering questions and stuff like that. Coffee, sugar-free creamer. Let's go. So I posted this question. Ask the question: what do you struggle with? What's the number one thing you struggle with the most after bariatric surgery? Now, I'm not like a celebrity. I don't get a whole lot of posts or comments or stuff in there because I wasn't really in there a whole lot. And I have recently been very active in these groups, posting pictures, posting encouragement things, answering people's questions, just like the whole 9 yards, as they would say. And I posted this in two groups. The response was absolutely crazy. I had over 500 comments. I'm not even exaggerating right now. 500 comments on people telling me what they struggle with the most at the bariatric surgery. And it was a slew of different things. I mean, it was a lot. And yes, I did go through each and every comment and look and reason why is because I was creating a list of things that I could talk about that maybe I do or do not struggle with and do research on to see, just to be able to do stuff like this. And that's literally one of the things for the day is from the list I compiled. Actually, two of the things. And with all these different comments and stuff, there were a couple things I realized. One is that a lot of people struggle with the same thing. Yeah, like I'm not even exaggerating right now. Like a lot of the comments were just the same. There were so many things that were the same. How to drink more water, how not to fall into bad eating habits, how to not throw up when eating your big bulky vitamins for bariatric patients. How to, just so, mentally, like there was just so many things that just were repeat. Second thing is that's good. What? That's good. Yeah, that's actually good because that shows that everybody don't have one thing they struggle with. You're not going through something that somebody else in the world hasn't already gone through or is going through. So you can make those connections with those people in those groups to walk through this thing together, or come and listen to a podcast like this where I talk about those things because I'm literally talking about the things that people need help with, because I'm only here to serve. I'm only here to help. I'm only here to motivate. I'm only here to encourage, and I'm only here so that you can be your best self, because I'm trying to be my best self every single day. That's what I'm here to do. So I hope that you're excited about that, because I know I am. So I took two and made one. Literally, I seen a lot of this was falling into bad eating habits. I said, okay, that's a huge thing. I see a lot of those comments, people saying that same type of thing one way or another. And then I saw this thing called slider foods, eating too much slider foods. Now, I was like, I'm not going to lie. I was like, what is a slider food? What is a slider? I didn't know what a slider food was. I'm being dead serious. A year out, and after over a year out, 13 months out now, I didn't know what a slider food was. I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole of sliders because I was like, what is a slider? Once I saw what a slider was, I was like, holy moly. I can see why people have issues with slider foods. So maybe you're like, what's a slider food, Pew? I don't know either. I'm just as crazy as you are. Didn't know what a slider food was. Tell me, please tell me. Yeah, so this is it. A slider food is simply something that is high in carb, that is easily digested. And what I mean easily digested, because the slider, it's in the wording, slides in through your stomach, especially, being a gastric sleeve patient or just having, something that just slides through your bypass easily. There's no to it. There's no heaviness to it that will sit in your stomach and actually digest. It digests super, super easy, which means you can eat a lot of it. Popcorn, cookies, you know what I mean? Like the foods that we're not supposed to, Krispy Kreme donuts, you know what I mean? Come on, but yeah, just foods that technically we're not supposed to eat. Ice cream, that would be a slider food because it is technically food. It's loaded with sugars, carbs, and stuff. And you can eat. I know I can eat a lot of ice cream if I wanted to. So that, that's a slider. And my thing is, we need to try hard to stay away from slider foods. Why? Well, if slider foods are easy to digest and slider foods are easily consumed in bigger and larger portions, what happens is, now this is just me thinking outside the box here, but your brain starts to recognize that you're eating like you used to. Why is that a bad thing? Well, if you're like me, I ate like this for, 20 plus years. So if I'm eating slider foods and I'm starting to eat more and my brain recognizes that, guess what it's going to want more of? Slider foods, right? It's going to want more of that because your brain realizes what it hasn't had, and it realizes that Oh, wow, yeah, this is it. This is what you're starting to feel a little hungrier. Why? Well, because there's no depth to it. There's no protein really in slider food. You can have protein because I kind of wonder if I have these Quest cookies that I eat. And now, I don't eat I eat one cookie a night. It's literally 20 grams or 15 grams of protein. I eat it like several hours. I don't eat it all at once. So I kind of wonder if that's a slider food or not. I don't have an issue with it, but now that I know what slider foods kind of are, I'm like, is that a slider food? I'm kind of like trying to start switching my diet around the truck just to make sure I'm not eating more slider food. Anyways, another podcast for another day. But do you understand what I'm saying though? Like, if your brain realizes, because it's like this, you can't just tell yourself like you're stupid every single day. Because what happens is your brain recognizes that and you actually start to believe it. And then if you do it every day of your life, it takes a long time to actually overcome that. And there will be moments even after you start to overcome it where you'll fall back into it because you've done it for so long. You can't break habits overnight. You can't break habits in a year if you've done them for 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, it takes time. It is a life. Listen, guys, bariatric is a lifelong process. It's not just hey, I got the surgery, I'm good to go. No, 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 no. That's why so many people fail when they do it because they think that I'll get the surgery, I'll be good to go. No, you have lifelong things that you have to overcome for the next life that you started when you got the sleeve, when you got the bypass, when you got the band, or whatever surgery you got. There's other surgeries that I've learned about this week that from a comment on here that I didn't even know about. I had to do some research on. I was like, oh, wow, I think it's kind of new. And I can't remember the name. I'm not even going to try to butcher it. But the point is, eating slider food and getting comfortable with it is going to put you back in that mindset before you had surgery. All the work that you did up to surgery on not to eat so much food, how to eat slower, because slider food you can eat faster too, and to just get a handle on that thing will start to slowly slide. Yeah, I didn't mean that, but that went pretty good. Start to get out of control or whatever, and you'll end up going backwards. So you need to stay away from slider food when you can. Now, listen, guys, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm literally talking to myself right now as I say this because I do eat slider food occasionally. I love cereal. I still have cereal. I try to make healthier choices, even though the healthy choices aren't actually that healthy when it comes to cereal, unless you're doing like Magic Spoon. And I love Cheerios, like the cinnamon or yeah. Anyways, you know what I mean. But yeah, I'll eat breakfast and then go and get like a little bit of cereal in a red Solo cup and eat that as like a snack. It's a slider food. That's why I'm able to eat it after I eat breakfast because my food's processing a lot faster and I'm able to eat it more. That's a problem. Like that I've kind of recognized now. I'm like, okay, I need to do something about that. You know what I mean? So the risk of slider food is it's going to make you slip back into bad habits. So let's try to figure that out. Let me know if you have the struggle. Like, I want to hear about it because, like, am I crazy? I'm not the only one. Like, I know I'm not the only one that has this struggle, but what are you doing specifically about it? That's the question I want you to ask yourself today. Or are you just not caring? No, not like Karen. Like, I'm not calling you a Karen. Don't freak out on me. No. Do you care? Did you not even think about it? I didn't think about it until I learned about it. Like, no lie. Like, I'm like, honestly, I'm a definition of somebody that's doing good on this. Like, that's what I was told by my doctor. That's not me telling myself that. I was told by my daughter, hey, you're doing great. Keep up. Whatever you're doing, do. And I'm over here like, yeah, okay, cool, And I'm like, oh, well, I actually need to change that. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't want to slip into bad habits. That is the thing. Why is it something that can cause you to slip into bad habits, back into bad eating habits? Is, everything we just mentioned, right? Everything that we just talked about. If you start to eat like this, if you start to develop this mentality, eventually the other bad habits are going to start seeping their way in. And eventually you're going to be eating just like you was. You're not going to be caring about it. And you're going to just be right back where you was pre-talking to somebody. and where you was before you even started the journey, feeling defeated, feeling unwanted, feeling unloved, feeling all these different emotions because we didn't catch it beforehand. How can we catch this beforehand? I want to, this is why I'm bringing this up today because I feel like it really needs to be talked about because there's a lot of people that don't even think about it. Again, I did not think about it. You got to be aware. You got to be aware. You got to step back and look and be aware of what you're eating. Keeping track of what you're eating. Guys, listen, again, this is a lifelong process. I talked to somebody before, I won't mention them, but their thing to me was they were talking about surgery and stuff. And I said, okay, we'll start keeping track of your food. Oh, I ain't gonna do that. That's too much work. Yo, bro, do you know that like you literally have to do that after surgery anyways? Why would you not start that process now? Because it's only going to help you succeed later. If you're not willing to do it now, don't get the surgery. Just plain it out, straight up, being serious right now. You know what I mean? Like I am a big stiffler with people that come to me about the surgery. If you talk to me about surgery, if you want to get surgery, I want you to get surgery too. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you on what you need to do, how you need to do it, only because these are the things I did to help me succeed. I'm going to tell you what I did, how I did it, and hopefully you'll take my advice and do it too, because I don't want to see another failing statistic on the journey. I don't want to see somebody that is get back comfortable where they were because they just couldn't do it because they didn't put in the work before at the time. We talked about that in a few podcasts back. A bunch of them lined up. We go through the playlist. I promise you'll get something from it. A lot of people have. I've been hearing it. But be honest. Be aware. What I mean by be honest, I mean this. You need to step back and look at what you're eating and keep track of it. Now, again, let me go back to keep track of it. Do I keep track of every single thing I eat every single day? No. I'm like, no, I don't want you to think, oh gosh, he's one of these guys. No, I'm not. Trust me. I eat a lot of the same food, and some things get introduced to my diet. Not every single day, but some days. I'll give you an example, a slider food example to be exact. Cheese Danish from Starbucks. Yeah. I love them, man. I'll eat one of those things in a heartbeat. And I know why I can eat one pretty quick and why I can drink my coffee afterwards because it's a slider food. I'm just washing it right down through the system. I'm literally just eating it for the flavor at that point. But, just to give you all an example, I do not keep track of it every day, but I keep track of it enough that I know exactly when I do eat the same thing, I know exactly what my intake is for the day, protein, carbs, and calorie rise, and sugars. I kind of do know the sugar content if I'm eating the same food because I do eat a lot of the same things. Like I have the Bariatric app, and I set up the app to where when I go to put in my foods, I can just click on I'll make meal plans where I have everything I want to take in me with the truck, and I just click one button and adds it all for the day and everything I will take from me in the truck. I do this for several different things. Coffee, how I make my coffee, so I know exactly what many calories, how much protein I need because I use hydrolyzed collagen in it. So yeah, I know exactly what I'm eating when I'm eating it, but yes, I do introduce things, and no, I do not keep track of it every single day. But if I step back and be honest with myself and go, okay, I'm eating way too much food. I'm eating popcorn every day. I'm having cookies every day. I'm starting to introduce more and more cereal. I'm eating more Krispy Kreme. Like if I start to be honest with myself, what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and be aware. So I'm going to start tracking my food. I have done this in the past where if I stall, right? Like I see that was one of the things on there was like, hey, I'm stalled. What do I do? My first thing is, well, what are you eating? What's your intake? I don't know. Okay. Well, let's figure out our intake on a daily basis for about a week. Yeah, a week, not one day. Like one day is not going to tell me anything, and then come back to me, because then we can decide is if you're eating too many calories, too much carbs, not enough carbs. Yes, that is a thing, by the way. It's something I got to look into myself, and not enough protein, or too much protein. That could be a thing too. You have to just be honest with yourself and start tracking these things, and understand that once you're honest with yourself, once you write these things down, once you see that maybe I'm kind of starting to slip, You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of starting to like you you got to be honest. Are you slipping? Take it an internal thing right now on yourself. Are you slipping? I'm talking to myself right now as I look at myself in the camera instead of camera lens and you. Now I'm looking at you. Are you slipping? Be honest with yourself. Are there things that you're introducing to your diet that needs to not be there? Or has the moderation as an excuse starting to sleep more and more in to where you're eating more and more and more? It's okay to eat more if you're on the journey and you're, coming back up to where you're supposed to eat, but are you introducing the wrong foods to your diet more and more and more and more? And one of the last things is flee, brother, sister. Paul said it. Flee from temptation. Literally flee. If you can't handle it, if moderation is not your thing, if it's going to cause you to keep slipping, keep falling, and you have to do drastic things sometimes to get results. You know you better than I know you. You know you better than some bozo on the street that knows you. You know yourself, you're internally, if you honestly be honest with yourself. See, that's the problem. Sometimes when we talk about being honest with ourselves, we're not. We say we are, but we're not. We'll make an excuse on, I can have this because, instead of saying, I shouldn't have this because. What I want you to do, and this is, flying off the hinge here today, guys. What I want you to do is I want you to make a list of what you eat, slider food-wise. I'm going to do the same thing. And I want you to go, I shouldn't eat this because, and then I can't eat this because. Then I want you to look at that list of however many things you write down and see what has the most. That is going to tell you right there if you're making excuses on yourself. If you're making excuses to where, why you should have it. You know what I mean? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? We got to be honest with ourselves, guys. We got to be honest with ourselves, gals. We got to, punch this thing in the face and learn how to adjust and keep moving. Again, this is a lifelong process. This isn't a surgery and done. You literally, your life starts after surgery. Starts over. You got to revisit situations. You have to repurpose your brain. You have to reteach your body that certain things aren't okay. You have to fight back every single day with every ounce of your being, or you will just give in. Why do you think I do this podcast? Why do you think I literally do this podcast? It's because as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I'm realizing of the things that I fail at and the things that I need to get under control and the things I have to fight back on, because if I don't, I'm going to fall back into my old habits. And I refuse to do that. Do you refuse to do that today? Do you refuse to give the world what they want? Listen, guys, there are people out there right now talking to you, talking about you behind your back, or maybe even you heard them say, hey, he's going to eventually gain the weight back. He's eventually going to get big again. So many people. Are you going to be one of those people that actually do? Or are you going to say, nah, screw you. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to keep fighting, because at the end of the day, I'm in control of this, not what somebody else says, not what my mind processing says, not what my old bad habits say, but what I say today. And today, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to stand up. I'm ready to fight back. Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm ready to I'm pumped up. I'm getting sweaty up in here and stuff. I got no air up here. I'm sure I'm surprised it's not leaking through yet. I got a workout going on. I'm ready to fight, man. I'm ready to punch somebody in the mouth. Listen, guys, I got people talking trash. I know. I've heard. Literally, I've heard people talking trash about me. I'm okay with that. Talking trash. It's more motivation, more fuel for me to keep going and proving you wrong. I've been proving people wrong since 1988, and I will continue to do so throughout my life. By the way, I was born in 1988, just in case you wanted to know. So let me read some of this stuff here to see what I need to talk about to end this whole shindig. It is easy to get addicted to these food. Yeah. Yeah, I already talked about that. So to wrap this all up and put a pretty bow on it for you guys, I want to go back to the post about Facebook. All right. I want to go back to the post on Facebook and what I said. I'm going to read it to you guys one more time and break it down for you guys so that you can understand and get it. All right. Mistakes happen. Listen, mistakes happen. You are going to have mistakes. Why? It's because you're human. Why? It's because we've been doing this. I've been living for 34 years. I know I'm not perfect. I know that I make mistakes every single day. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. I know that I can't, just expect something that I've done for 20 plus years to just disappear overnight. That's a lot of things in my life, to be honest with you. But it's how we handle them that truly defines us. Are you going to allow your slip up to cause you to fall? Are you going to allow your slip up to cause you to give up? Are you going to stay beat down on the ground, bleeding, and allowing life to kick you, allowing those people that talk trash to you kick you while you're down? Because you best believe when you're down and out and everything around you is just literally hell, that the people that talk trash and that talk trash or thought talk trash, all those thoughts start to flood your head. They were right. I can't do this. I failed here. I'm going to keep failing. Why even continue? This is so hard. It's so hard to continue to eat like this. I miss eating tacos. I see a picture of a taco. I eat tacos every week, but literally one. It's a fat taco though. I miss eating as many Krispy Kreme donuts as I want. Amen. It's easier to eat how I want to eat. Yeah, it is. But the benefit of fighting back, the benefit of getting up, and the benefit of literally swinging at the enemy is that you prove to them and honestly yourself that you're a fighter, and that you can honestly, if you put your brain to it, put your heart into it, your soul, you can accomplish anything in this life, especially when it comes to health. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen in a week? No. Is it going to happen in 20 years? To be honest, probably not for me. I've been eating unhealthy for 20 plus years. Will I be better 20 years than I am today? You best believe it. You best believe it. Hey, 1% better rule. I introduce that to my other YouTube channel for people I'm helping with content creation and stuff, but I'm going to introduce it to you guys too. 1% better. It's all you have to accomplish in a week, in a month, in a year. Well, let's try to do it once a week. 1% once a week. What I mean by that is, where do you need help at the most? Concentrate on just getting 1% better. Because if you do in a week, every week in 52 weeks, you're going to be 52% better than you was 52 weeks before. You see what I'm saying? 1%. Maybe it's just, instead of eating 6 donuts, eat 4, eat 5. I'm using that as an example because I evidently want a Krispy Kreme donut now, just to be honest with you guys. You know what I mean? But get 1% better in the areas you struggle with, and eventually you're going to be 100% better. Eventually you're going to be 200% better. Eventually you're going to be 300% better. Eventually you're going to have this thing in the bag. But you have to fight. You have to get up. You got to continue. When we stumble, we have an opportunity to rise and learn from our experiences. And that's the truth. Use the stumbling moments in your life to step back and just say, how can I do it differently next time? How can I allow this not to happen next time? And let me go ahead and just fair warn you now, You're going to do that, and you're going to think about that, and you're going to put that plan in practice, and eventually that plan is not going to work again. It'll work at the first few times more likely, but eventually it just, something happens, something in your brain tricks you, and you're all of a sudden, you're right back where you was again. And guess what you got to do again? You have to step back, revisit it, and go, what can I do differently this time? It's a lifelong process, friends. It's a lifelong process. When you say yes to bariatrics, you're saying yes to a brand new life, but also a hard, steady, long-filled, happy life if you allow it to be. I'm happy. I don't miss being 400 pounds. I don't miss getting up out the couch and breathing heavily. I don't miss not being able to sleep, because of, me snoring and stuff and my wife punching me in the mouth to tell me to stop. I'm playing. She doesn't punch me in the mouth majority of the time anyways. But I don't miss being unhealthy. I just don't. So it's a long process. You're going to make plans. You're going to succeed. You're going to fail. Keep going. It's in these moments of growth that we find our strength. Amen. So let's embrace the journey and choose to give our best, even when faced with challenges. Together, guys. Together. Me, you, together. Facing this journey together. Listen, I am here for you. I am here for you. I'm here for me, but I'm here for you too. This podcast helps me out. This podcast is going to help you out. I pray and promise. I hope. Anyways, my hope is for it to help you out. Don't be the person that just listens. Don't be the person that just listens. What do I mean by that? I'm just going to say it because it's the easiest, it's before my brain goes. Don't be the person that just goes to church and listens and walks out and says, that's a good message, and never acts on the message. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's somebody out there that just punched square in the mouth because it punched me in the mouth. I ain't even gonna lie. Act on that message. Act on this message. Reach out. Do something about it. Put an action plan. Even if you don't reach out to me, I'm here to help. If you want someone that's not going to judge you, you want someone that's not going to I'm going to tell you what you should do because I've done it. And it's up to you to follow in my footsteps or not. Or you're going to tell me what you did because maybe I'm struggling areas and we're going to work together as a community. I say you, I'm talking about the community and in general. Follow me on Facebook. It's super easy. DM me, comment below this video, right? Help the algorithm so more people can get help out there, liking the video if you're over on YouTube. And then to finish it off, we can turn setbacks into stepping stones towards success. I love that right there because eventually those setbacks will be beat, and eventually it might take years, literally years. Do you have the strength? Do you have the will? Do you have the drive to fight that long? I hope you do. I want you to. I want to be able to. It's going to get hard. It's going to get nasty. You're going to wake up in a bad mood some days. Find your why, keep driving, turn those bad habits, turn those excuses, turn those just Krispy Kreme donuts into stepping stones and step through them, step over them. Use them as a plank. You know what I mean? And keep driving towards success. Listen, guys, if you want a way to support me or the podcast itself, everything for that is linked description below, or just liking this video and literally commenting helps out so much as well. So hopefully you guys got something from the day. Let me know what your aha moment was from this podcast below in the comments below. Somebody's going to tell me that I just did something as another person I listen to does a podcast does. It's okay though. Tell me what your aha moment was in the comments below if you're over on YouTube. If you're on one of the other major platforms listening to this, let me know what your aha moment was in a review of the podcast. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know where I can learn or where I can get better at. If I'm I've gotten some constructive criticism already. I'm already trying to put those things into effect. So let me know. I want to know from you guys so I can make this podcast as good as possible. The way to serve you guys, that's at the end of the day, that's all I wanted to do is serve you as a community to help you guys out. And in return, you guys help me out by helping me stay healthy. See you guys in the next podcast. Pew out.